Donald Trump has a clarion call to white supremacists, and he knows it and he uses it often. We saw it when he said that they were good people on both sides in Charlottesville. We've seen it when he has called the cities that are run by black mayors, called them shithole places.
ABC is known to have a serious case of Trump derangement syndrome, but I think the network that has it the worst, and I believe it's been fatal to them, is MSNBC. And in this video, we're going to see a severe case of that, so buckle up and prepare yourselves, because we're going to obviously debunk the lies and the hatred they have for Trump and call out their biases. And before I get into that, I want you to truly understand what Trump derangement syndrome is. Watch.
Are you or your loved ones suffering from illnesses such as TDS, also known as Trump derangement syndrome? Do you dismiss or deny the current issues facing our country, such as historic inflation, illegal immigration, corporate corruption, World War III escalations, and the chronic disease epidemic? Are you willing to elect someone who was the least popular vice president in modern history, and who offers no policy or vision for America simply because your brain keeps telling you anyone but Trump? If so, you might be struggling from TDS. Introducing independence. Independence allows you the freedom to finally think independently once again. Instead of believing everything you hear from the mainstream media, independence allows for constructive critical thinking.
I used to hear people on the news say things like,
Donald Trump and the movement he has encouraged are a threat to democracy.
And I instantly believed it. With independence, I now realize the media is run by the Democrat elite, who are a corrupt oligarchy that censors free speech, silences political opponents, supports forever wars, and abandons democracy by anointing its candidates.
Independence may not be for everyone. If you enjoy being lied to about your president's cognitive abilities, support Orwellian totalitarianism, or are excited about communist fiscal policy, independence may not be right for you. Common side effects of independence may include an awakening of rational thought, successfully identifying propaganda, freedom of choice, loss of hatred, anti-narcissistic behavior, and love of democracy.
I used to blindly hate whoever my party was running against. I didn't care about facts or policy because I was hopelessly indoctrinated. With independence, I'm much more interested in policies that uphold democracy, and I truly care about the health of our country and its citizens.
Ask your doctor if independence is right for you, and enjoy your freedoms once again.
Don't you just love that? I mean, that's a great way to articulate Trump derangement syndrome. And by the way, put it in the comments right now. Have you run into people who have Trump derangement syndrome? If so, share your story in the comment section below. I'd like to actually read it. But anyways, I digress. So what we're going to do is get into MSNBC and how Trump deranged they truly are, and the newest idea or rhetoric they're trying to push onto their audience. Watch.
Donald Trump addressed his MAGA faithful today in a town of 4,500 called Muzzini, Wisconsin. While his campaign speech was just a rerun of all of his old hits, the rally's location, though, was actually noteworthy. It followed recent Trump rallies in Howell, Michigan, La Crosse, Wisconsin, and Johnstown, Pennsylvania. And you might be asking, what do these towns all have in common? Well, let me explain. They were all known or referred to as sundown towns, towns with racist and sometimes violent histories and forced segregation. By some estimates, as many as 10,000 sundown towns had sprung up around the country by 1970. If you were black in an all-white town, you could not be in that town after dark without it being a serious threat to your security. Sometimes the threat was implicit.
Okay, so I think you guys know where he's going with this, right? He's trying to drum up this idea that the towns that you see former President Trump visiting to host his rallies are towns that are known as a sundown town, which means it's a rally cry for people who are white supremacists to come out and vote for Trump. I mean, you just can't hate them enough, because if that's not a definition of a race hustler, then I don't know what is. I mean, this is what they spend their energy on, instead of on things that actually matter. I don't care what town a presidential candidate is visiting, right? What about the policies that have destroyed America over the last 3.5 years? What about that? Oh, that's right. MSNBC. They call themselves a news organization, but clearly they are a propaganda organization. And the reason why they are, they're stuck in the past. Okay, that's what they are. They're stuck in the past. They think Trump wants to take the country back to the past. No, they sound like they want to take the country back to the past because they keep accusing him of being a racist, but there's no evidence to suggest otherwise.
The visit isn't the problem. It's the messaging and who he's trying to message for. Donald Trump has a clarion call to white supremacists. And he knows it and he uses it often. We saw it when he said that they were good people on both sides in Charlottesville. We've seen it when he has called the cities that are run by black mayors, some of the worst cities in America, elevated crime, all of these things that are against the actual crime statistics for those cities. We've seen it when he called them shithole places. We've seen time and time again that this is a guy who was once at the seat of power for this nation and the leader of the free world, who has absolutely no problem trying to take America back to where we did not have civil rights, trying to take America back to Reconstruction era politics. A guy who, even though he says he does not endorse Project 2025, everything that he says on the campaign trail is something out of Project 2025, which was actually written by people who ironically either served in his former administration or work on his campaign currently. I think that for him, choosing these towns is specific because he is doing an all-out call to white supremacists, to people who are known for their racism. He sees them as his base, and he wants them to know that he stands by and he protects them. And that's what this is all about. Him running against a black woman and trying to implement race wars across this country. He knows what he's doing. This is no mistake.
You have to laugh at this because this is like severe Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, just look at her face. Right? I mean, she hates this guy. See, here's the difference between Trump supporters and people who have Trump derangement syndrome. Trump supporters do not hate Joe Biden. We don't hate Kamala Harris. I don't wake up in the morning looking to be obsessed over them. Okay? These people, on the other hand, who have Trump derangement syndrome, if there was no Donald Trump, I don't know what they'd be doing with their lives. I don't know what they'd be talking about. I don't even know if they'd have meaning because clearly she wakes up in the morning looking to do something about Donald Trump. That's what it's always been about for the Democratic Party ever since Trump stepped foot on the scene. It's always been more about him instead of about everyday Americans. They would rather beat him than to implement policies that will help America. They're willing to defeat Donald Trump at all costs. You're seeing this. They've thrown everything at this guy, and he's still standing. Now, MSNBC, they know what they're doing. First, they start with the black woman. Now they got to pile on and add the black man who's going to confirm what she was saying. Watch this.
Well, Eamon, a lot of it has to do with the fact that when you don't have the ability to go to every single place that is being contested, you need to use the places that are going to be hotspots for yourself as force multipliers. And what I mean by that is, you know that the people who are like you know the people who are like the people in Howell or the people who are in La Crosse, they are going to amplify the voice of Donald Trump as long as he's able to get to some of those places and convince those people, hey, I stand with you. So he's effectively allowing these places or using these places as mouthpieces for white supremacy. And you know this to be the case because, as you and Amicia have both pointed out, it's not necessarily the visit, but what you say and do not say when you are there. When you do not make comment that directly deals with the racially divisive and racially incendiary nature of these places in their existence and go there and you make your sort of political homes there, these things are very clear signals to your base that you want to get out. And so he's using these places essentially as force multipliers for that very reason, to get out to turn out his base in places where he needs it most.
All right. Full disclosure here. It's tough making this video. I'll be honest with you guys, because I don't often listen to anything that MSNBC has to say because it's this deranged. I mean, this will give you some mental health issues. It's just toxic. You know, it's as if the devil is in them and is speaking through them. Like it's really bad, especially for the black community. You know, before I get into my final points, let me share this theory I have. And I want to get your guys' thoughts. So tell me how you guys think about this in the comment section below. What you're seeing on MSNBC, where they continue to feed into this lie that everywhere a black person goes, there's a white supremacist looking to get that black person. And that's just not true. It just isn't. In fact, this is probably the best time in history to be an African American in this country. Imagine being an African American in the 1950s or the 40s. I mean, I don't think I'd want to live during that time, right? But again, that's common sense, and I'm not too sure these people have it. Okay, so here's a list that I made just to back up my points in this video and to debunk these clowns once again. As you guys can see, not only did Donald Trump visit Michigan, so did Joe Biden. Not only did Donald Trump visit La Crosse, Wisconsin, so did Barack Obama. So did Kamala Harris. So did Mike Pence. I only spent about 5 minutes putting this list together. I'm sure if I really dedicated my energy, I could probably give you every vice president, every senator, every person running for office who have visited these exact cities to campaign. So I think what they're trying to do, I know what they're trying to do is push more propaganda. So some final points for you guys. Number one, I don't believe that Donald Trump is trying to recruit white supremacists so they can show up for the election. I think that is a very divisive rhetoric that they are pushing, and it's no wonder most people do not like to listen to MSNBC. Which leads me to my second point. The people who do listen to MSNBC religiously are people who definitely have a case of Trump derangement syndrome. So it says more about them than it does about Donald Trump. I mean, the fact that you wake up in the morning and you hate him that much, I mean, that does not speak good on your behalf. You should not allow someone to live rent-free in your mind like that. Like, I don't think about Joe Biden or Kamala Harris like that, but they think about Donald Trump like that. And my final point is MSNBC is everything they accuse Donald Trump of being. The stories that they choose to report, how they choose to report it, the rhetoric that they use to report stories, it's all in the name of divisiveness, in the name of dehumanizing Donald Trump, in the name of criticizing his supporters, in the name of being just overly emotional as a network. They cannot look at anything objectively or be unbiased about any story. They struggle to truly report on Joe Biden's decline, especially after the debate. That's my mindset. What's yours? What do you guys think about the Trump deranged network, MSNBC, pushing this rhetoric that Trump is trying to do a rally cry for white supremacists to show up and vote for him? What do you think about the fact that I was able to debunk this idea that those locations are being used for that when other candidates have visited that same location? I want to hear what your thoughts are and more in the comment section below. Thank you for checking out the video today. If you want to support the channel, go to the link in the description below, grab yourself a t-shirt. Stay grateful, stay focused, and stay true. Peace.